Good stuff. All right. Thank you guys so much for praying, for thinking of us. Yeah. Crazy. Moving to a different country is more difficult than anyone thought. Who knew? Who knew being in America would be this tough? All right. So, guys, really good to have you here. If you have a Bible, Romans chapter 5 is where we are. And I'm going to have a few verses from Romans chapter 5. If you don't have a Bible, we always give you this on your way in so you can have it there as reference. But here's the big idea. We are doing this series called Behold for the next 3 weeks. It's an Advent series. Of course, Advent, those of you who know anything about Advent, maybe you have an Advent calendar or something and you open chocolates or whatever, but you might not really know what that is. Kind of a weird word. The word Advent simply means arrival. And so what it talks about is this whole season is a season of 3 or 4 weeks that builds up to the arrival of Jesus Christ becoming a human being. Of course, the advent of television, the advent of radio, that's what we mean by it. And of course, this is about the advent of Jesus, who was always existed. He didn't. First doctrinal thing to understand is Jesus Christ didn't begin to exist at Easter, all right? He always existed. He's the big W word in John chapter 1. And John says, in the beginning was the Word. And then in John chapter 1, verse 14, it says the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. So Jesus Christ has existed forever, and he became a human being 2,000 years ago for 33 years in the way that he did. And that's what we celebrate at Advent, is we look back to this time where Jesus actually arrived. And what that means when Jesus comes to live a perfect life in your place and die on a cross and rise again, what that means, what's inferred at Christmas, is that religion doesn't work, okay? Religion is over. You can't earn your way into heaven no matter what you do. I don't care if you're the kind, some of you were raised in church and you think if you're a good person and you don't say those lists of swear words and you don't watch those movies, or you don't do this or you don't do that, and you do these things, help old ladies across the street, whatever, then you're gonna get to heaven one day and God's gonna go, your good deeds have outweighed your bad deeds so you can come in. That's religion. What Christianity and Christmas says is that's not the truth, because if that was the truth, then Jesus never would have had to become a human being. Christmas never would have had to happen, where Jesus earns and carries on this amazing work on the cross, because you can't earn salvation. Jesus earned it for you. And so Jesus gets your sin and you get the righteousness of Jesus. It's what Martin Luther called the great exchange. And it's one of the most beautiful concepts in the Bible. So it's the advent of that idea that do it, DIY, you ever heard of DIY? Right, do it yourself, right? That's religion. I don't do anything myself. I'm really bad at making, I'm not that guy, all right? I'm more of like a thinker, all right? I'm a feeler, I'm a lover, all right? I'm not like we have a toolbox, but it's Erin's toolbox, all right? And she gets stuff done. She builds stuff, she whatever. Literally 2 days ago, she's like, oh, Mark, by the way, we're having a party here on Sunday afternoon, so our entire house on the outside needs a bunch of Christmas lights. Like the whole house needs to be Christmas lighted. And I'm like, yeah, but by when? She's like, yeah, like Saturday. I'm like, she tells me this on Friday. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? And so I wasn't gonna get up there and do that. So I hired two teenagers to get up on the roof and put up the Christmas lights, right? Because if I go up there, I'm gonna staple myself to the eaves trough or something, my whole fall off, kill myself. So we hired these two kids to go and do it, because do it yourself is not my thing. And this is the thing, this is what Christmas says. Do it yourself is over. You cannot do it yourself. You cannot earn salvation. Jesus Christ had to earn it for you. And so Advent is the thing that says Jesus arrived. And it was after 400 years of silence that he arrived, right? And so that's the idea, is there was this anticipation. All through the Old Testament, God spoke in different ways. And the prophets would speak to Israel. They would say, do this and do this and do this. But then there was this 400 years where God didn't speak to the world. And that was the anticipation. That's what everyone was waiting for. And that's what made Christmas what it was, is that there was 400 years of nothing. Anticipation. It's like you and I understand anticipation. You're waiting for that thing to happen, that wedding that's gonna come up, that retirement that's gonna happen, that vacation. You're anticipating it. Right? It's like even Christmas time, it's a great time of anticipation. So here's what I do every Christmas morning, all right? You got my kids, and they're all, probably like you, they're all anxious to get at those presents, right? And they come down the stairs in the morning, and they got gifts all under the tree, and they got those stockings all jacked, and they're ready to go. But what I do is I build into them the sense of anticipation. because I open up the big Bible before they can touch anything. I say, sit down, children. I'm gonna read you a story now about what this day is about. And we start out and we open up Luke in that big dusty Bible, and I begin to read it like the long Christmas story, right? When Quirinius was the governor of Syria, and Tychicus wanted to take a census, and then I took Greek for 3 years, so I got to unpack the Greek verbs. So here now, this is a pluperfect, and what that means, all right, so we do that for about half an hour in Luke, and then I open, because you can't just do Luke, then they got to hear Matthew. So now we go Matthew, and we talk about the Magi, and by the time it's over, they're like, yeah, give me the gifts, I just want the gifts, and they're foaming at the mouth, they want those. That's called anticipation, man. That's like, I want this thing to arrive, but it's slow. And this is what Advent is. It's this, it says to the world, God, now here's the interesting thing about Advent. It both looks back, it's a double vision. It looks backwards to what Jesus did, but it also looks forward to the second Advent where Jesus comes back to do the thing that he started at Christmas. That's what Advent has been in the history of the church. It's been the dual moment where we go, Jesus did this thing and it's beautiful, but it started there, but it's not over yet. And that's why there's brokenness and pain and difficulty. And some of you are gathering this Christmas without the family members that you were able to gather with in the past, and it's hurtful and it's painful. And that's why Advent is this dual, beautiful thing that looks backward, but it also looks forward to the time where Jesus will come and reverse all the pain. And there'll be no more tears and no more crying and no more death and no more missing the person that you love that is gone, because Jesus is gonna bring the new heaven and the new earth. And so we're living in this middle time of anticipation, but Jesus is gonna come and it's gonna be beautiful. But we live in it because, now here's what's interesting. Some of you might feel every time something bad happens, I hear people say, why isn't Jesus coming back yet, right? There's a tsunami, there's a murder, there's a death, there's a terrible thing that happened. Why isn't Jesus coming back yet? Come on, let's go. And 1 Peter gives us a fascinating answer to that question, because it says, God is slow to come back because he wants as many people as possible to give their life to Jesus. That's why. It's what one of my theology professors, they call God the 3-mile-an-hour God. He's just so slow. Like, pick it up. Let's wrap it up. So, I go to Bible college when I'm 19 years old, and I was in film school, and that's what I was gonna do with my life. And my mom said, you can go to Bible college for 1 year. And so I went, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I didn't know if I wanted to be a pastor or whatever, but I felt like, okay, I'll give Bible college a shot. So I'm in first semester Bible college, and I take this course called Old Testament Survey, okay? Old Testament Survey with Dr. Glenn Wiper, all right? Dr. Glenn Wiper, he'd been teaching this course. I mean, he was old, all right? He was teaching this course since the events of the Old Testament, all right? So, I mean, he's talking eyewitness accounts when he's teaching us of the Old Testament. All right? So we take this course with Wiper, and we get to our first exam. And I don't know, I'm freaking out about this exam because I'm gonna fail it because I can't remember all these facts about Zephaniah and Zechariah and Habakkuk and all this stuff. I'm freaking out. And I meet this guy in the class, his name's Shant, and we start to hang out. And he says to me the day before the exam, hey, I want you to come over to my house tonight. We're gonna study for the exam. But I have a little secret. I said, what is it? He said, well, I have the exam from last year that Wiper handed out to the class. And we can just memorize it. It's multiple choice. So we can memorize it, and it'll give us a better shot at doing good. And I was like, it feels like cheating to me. And he's like, no, people do it at Harvard all the time, all right? Now, I never looked that up. I just took his word for it, all right? So I was like, all right, all right, I hope they do it at Harvard. So me and my buddy go over to Sean's house, and all night, we just studied this exam, all right? We just went. I could still see it in my brain. Question 1 was C. Question 2 was B. All right, we memorized this thing. We stayed up all night, pulled an all-nighter, class at 8:30 in the morning. We get to Wiper's class, 8:30 in the morning, room's dead quiet. He hands out the exam, 100 people in this room. I look down at the exam. Guys, I'm not kidding you. It's the exact same exam. Word for word, question for question. And I'm staring at it, having this moral dilemma, all right? What do I do? Do I put my hand up and say, I'm sorry, Dr. Wiper? And all I hear on the far side of the room is Shant. In the dead silence, I hear, he. And I'm like, so after these, I'm freaking out. I go to Sean, I'm like, what are you doing, you idiot? We just cheated. I was getting things wrong on purpose so I don't look like Doogie Howser, Rain Man. What are you talking about? What did we do? And he's like, oh, don't worry about it, Mark. And I said, this is my ministry. This is over. He's like, no, don't worry about it. I know here's what his logic was. He said, I know lots of pastors in ministry who are preaching and doing perfectly fine in life, and they did this too. See his logic there? You can cheat, and if you're doing well in life, God didn't care. They're still doing fine. And I'm like, no, listen, Sean, that is not the reality. It's that God is patient. That's all that's happening. These guys are doing well in ministry because God is patient. It doesn't mean he's not going to hold them accountable one day. There will come a day, I can guarantee you, when I get to the gates of heaven and Wiper will be standing beside Jesus. He'll be looking at me like, what did you do in my class? I told him not to let you in, but I don't know. That's the patience of God, man. Do not take the fact that you're breathing today and doing well and have money in the bank and your marriage is okay, whatever, as if you aren't flawed. It's because he's patient. And every time you see a bad thing happen and you say, Jesus, why don't you just wrap this world up? He says, because there's one more person who needs to come to know me. There's one more person. Guys, I'm telling you, man, Christmas Eve, this is a moment where you can invite people to church and they can meet Jesus and they will come to church with you. It's gonna be an amazing service. It's gonna be classy. We're gonna symphony quartets. And like this is a moment where people, and God's going, I'm gonna maybe give you one more Christmas. He's slow to come back because he wants the world to heal. It's like an airport arrival where someone you know is flying in and you go to the airport and you're holding those signs and you're waiting for them to come. And every time you see kind of someone come around the corner, your heart skips a beat because you're jacked up to see that person and you got the sign, you're like, oh no. Right? It's like that, man. It's like you get these glimpses of perfection and beauty and wonder, and you're there and you're waiting for the final arrival. And this is what God is doing, is he's saying, I want you to be, listen, here's what Christmas is, guys. It's not just a nice sentimental thing. It's him saying, I need you to be aware and awake and alert and be looking and working and living for the second advent, not just the first one. I need you to be working toward the fact that I'm coming back again one day. I need you doing more. This is what, you guys ever read 1984 by George Orwell? Right? You ever sign that for school? Right? Where the whole totalitarian big brother is watching you and it's trying to keep all of us enslaved. And Orwell says, hey, it's easy to keep a group of people enslaved. Here's what you do. You just give them gambling and sports and they'll never revolt. Sound like America? Give them gambling and sports, and these people will get so numb to any kind of freedom that they'll just accept whatever you hand them. And that's where we're at. And Christmas goes, wake up, be alert. Wake up, what's going on? Jesus is coming back to people. This is what happens. Your life can become so mundane. Christmas is the thing that goes, what are you guys talking? What are you doing? This is where we're at as a culture. We talk about nothing. We talk about sports and the weather. Hey guys, I can't believe how cloudy I know. I can't believe how cloudy it is for Sacramento this time of year. Hopefully the sun comes out and it's cooler than usual too. Hey, Tom? Oh yeah, Sally. And we talk about gas price. I can't believe the gas price. Can you believe that? The gas prices in Nashville are like, well, the gas prices in Florida. We talk about housing market. Can you believe real estate? I can't believe real estate. It's a buyer's market. It's a seller's market. Shut up. You want to get to the end of your life and be beep, 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 beep at 3 o'clock in the morning and your heart is failing and none of your family members are around to sit with you and you're scared and you're dying, you're going, it's a buyer's market. It's a seller. Shut up. Talk about something that matters. Jesus is coming back and your neighbor doesn't know him. That's what Christmas is. It's a reminder every year to focus on the right things. And so Christmas offers in this Advent calendar rhythm 2 things that I want to talk about. The first is peace. The second is hope. Look at the passage, Romans chapter 5. It's in your thing. Therefore, since we have been justified through faith, we have peace with God. Peace is what we're all looking for, right? Peace is the thing that we're after. Peace. I want peace. I want peace in my soul. I want peace in my life. I want peace. And what Paul says is the only way to have peace is through, he says in verse 1, through Jesus Christ. So peace is the thing. Now, why peace is such a very important Advent or Christmas theme is because we tend to think of Christmas a little bit wrong from the reality of what it was. We tend to think of Christmas as a very sentimental, warm, awesome time. So when we have a Merry Christmas, when we have a Christmas card that we send out to all of our friends and family, it's so nostalgic. It's warm. It's like those little cabins and there's smoke coming out of the chimney and there's, snow and there's deers frolicking with squirrels around and everything's so warm and cold. You got Boys to Men on in the background or Mariah Carey or whatever. And it's like, oh, Christmas gives me those nostalgic, sentimental vibes. And it's beautiful. But really the story of Christmas was a very dangerous time. Herod was killing all the babies, all right, under 3. I'm sure that doesn't go on the front of your Christmas card to grandma, right? It was like, hey, Herod's slaughtering all those kiddos. 2 teenagers running away, scared from a despot that was trying to kill everybody. Fear, danger, all of that was Christmas. Revelation 12 is my favorite passage in regard to Christmas because it tells us the apocalyptic version, the behind the veil version of what Christmas was. See, on the worldly version, Herod was killing a bunch of kids under 2 years old because he wanted to eliminate the Messiah. The Revelation 12 version is there's a woman and she's giving birth to a child and there's a dragon, many-headed dragon, waiting to eat the baby. Yeah. You don't ever put that on a Christmas card. I guarantee you've never sent that one out. I put it into ChatGPT last night to see what we could get. I don't know why that baby's got like 6 arms. I don't know what's going on there. None of you create that Christmas card. But that's what Christmas was, man. It was a time of fear, and that's why the angel sermon is about peace and goodwill to all people. Peace. I bring you peace. Peace with God first because you're out of sync with God because of sin and Christmas is the thing through Jesus Christ where you get peace with God and then peace with yourself and then peace of your own soul. The ultimate thing that Paul is talking about is that you get a peace of soul that the world can never get because how many of us live in anxiety and fear of tomorrow, right? We all have anxiety in our life. Jonathan Haidt, the psychologist, just wrote the book called The Anxious Generation, saying the generation that I'm raising right now is the most anxious generation ever because of phones and social media. The way that dopamine works on your brain is that it creates anxiety in your life, anxiety, social, all of the stuff. We're living in the most anxious generation, which is so beautiful, by the way, that the gospel doesn't just say, hey, I've got a way for you to go to heaven. It says, I have a way to get you peace. That your soul is stirring. So, a bunch of years ago, there was a young adult gathering at the church I was a pastor of, and they would come together and they would do something that I'd never experienced before, but they invited me to come, so I went and hung out, and it was called Lectio Divina. If you've never done it, get a group of people together and do it. It's amazing. It's this old tradition where you get together with a group of people, and someone reads a passage from the Bible, usually a narrative section of the scriptures, whatever, and that first time they read it, you just sit there and you listen. But the second time through, you ask God to let you hone in on a particular phrase, and then you just focus in on that phrase as the person reads the story the third and the fourth and the fifth time, and you ask God to do his work on you, and what does he want to say to you? And first time I ever did this, I was sitting in a room, and the passage they took was the passage where Jesus is sleeping in the boat, and the waves start to arise, and the disciples wake up and say, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. And he says, get up. And he gets up in the boat, and he looks out at the water, and he says these words, peace, be still. And I was going through a real tumultuous, I had little kids, and I didn't know what I was gonna do with all the things. And that was the phrase that stood out. And so as this person continued to read over the next 45 minutes, all I heard was God saying, peace, be still. What Jesus did to the wind and the waves, peace, be still. So Martin Lloyd-Jones says this, it can truthfully be said that the greatest need of men and women in this world is the need of what is called a quiet heart, a heart at leisure from itself. A heart where Jesus Christ comes into your life and he says, I'm gonna give you peace, peace between you and God, peace between you and others, peace in your own soul. It's the difference. See, if you have peace, ultimate peace, you experience life vastly different than if you don't have peace, right? I was trying to think of an analogy. So if you were going to meet someone for lunch this afternoon and you were driving there and it was someone that you got along with a lot, it was someone that you had a lot of peace with, it was someone that you enjoyed being around, the drive there would be awesome, right? You'd be there, you hit a red light, whatever, you're listening to the radio, right? You're going to meet them, you're going to hang out, you're going to talk about some business, it's going to be awesome. Now, what if that person was somebody who there was a lot of tension between you and them, and you fought 2 years ago and you really haven't talked since because at Thanksgiving they brought up vaccines. All right, and you're like, I don't like your vaccines. And then they're like, I don't like your vaccines. And then Uncle Joe say, yeah, we never landed on the moon. Why is that flag flapping? And everybody started freaking out on each other. And everyone's fighting, and now there's all this tension. Everyone hates each other. And now you got to go meet that person, and you don't know what they've got for you. You don't know what it's going to be like when you get there. And now every time you hit a red light, it's like, hurry up, red light. I hate music. Shut up. Traffic. Everybody's so slow. This is how it is in life when you relate to God and there's peace between you and him. There's a vastly different way that you experience when you get that cancer diagnosis. If there's peace between you and the God of the universe, there's a vastly different way you experience when your marriage starts to go awry or your kids start to go off the rails or the money disappears. This is why it's the most practical, beautiful thing in the world that Christmas is this thing that offers you peace in the midst of the trials of the world. Okay, here's the second thing, hope. The passage goes on in verse 2, through whom we have gained access by faith into this grace in which we now stand, and we boast in the what? Hope of the glory of God. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope, and hope does not put us to shame. So you have peace, but you also have hope, one of the most important things in the world. So Pastor Ray Johnson, who was up here earlier praying for me, thank you for doing that, sir. He is the hope master, all right? I hang out with a lot of pastors all around America, and Ray is known as the man of hope. This guy, I try to throw him off his hope every once in a while, all right? I'm like, look, things aren't that good, to be honest with you. And he's, it's great. We got hope for the future. It's gonna be amazing. The future's amazing. And I'm like, or it's not. You never know. I mean, it could be awful. You don't know. I'll point out something on the campus. I'll be like, that sign's gross. What is that sign here for? They'll be like, yeah, you know what? But someone made that sign. We should go and encourage them. All right, and I'm just like, encourage them? They did a terrible job. Why would we encourage them? He wrote a book called The Hope Quotient. If you haven't read it, you got to go read that book, man. It's all about the fact that we cannot live without hope. And in that book, he says we can live like 3 days without water and 40 days without food and 8 minutes tops without air, but we can't live a minute without hope. You need it in your life to actually drive you forward. Elie Wiesel, who wrote a book called Night, he survived the Holocaust. His whole family died in the Holocaust, and he wrote a book called Night. It won the Pulitzer Prize. And he talks about the idea that the difference in the concentration camps of Dachau and Auschwitz, the difference between the people who survived and the people who didn't, I mean, of all the people who didn't go to the gas chambers, like the people who they were there, they were working, they were waiting, the only difference between the people who survived and the people who didn't was one word, Ellie says, hope. There was a group, he said, of us who believed that we were gonna see our family again, that we were gonna, dance again, that we were gonna gather again. And there was people who just, their hope got dashed. So Folsom Prison campus that we have, right? Every week, 150 guys gather in Folsom Prison at one of our campuses. And it's beautiful. They worship Jesus, they study the Bible. And one of those guys got out this week. He'd been there, yeah, amen. He'd been there 22 years. 22 years he served in Folsom Prison. And one of our pastors went and met with him as he came out of the gate, and they all went for breakfast with his family and hung out, and they were chatting. And the pastor looked at him and said, "Did you ever lose hope?" And the guy looked right back at him, he said, "Lose hope? Why would I lose hope? I'm connected to the living hope." Yes. Right, that's right. I'm like, dang, let's go. I would lose hope day 2 of Folsom Prison. Right, I'd be like, this is not gonna go well for me. All right, this guy's connected to the living hope. Ray in his book says this: the greatest gift leaders can give their people, hope. The greatest gift parents can give their children, hope. The greatest gift teachers can give their students, hope. The greatest thing coaches can give their athletes, hope. The greatest thing you can give your family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, hope, 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 hope. Because it makes you live in the present circumstances of your life different. If you know that Jesus Christ has you and has saved you, then you're gonna experience life vastly different when things go awry than if you don't have that. It's like, here's the analogy. If I pick 2 of you right now, okay, and I put you on stage and I said, okay, here's the deal. I'm gonna give you a job, and the job is this. For the next year of your life, you're gonna sit in a room with a screwdriver, and a chair is gonna come in front of you, and for 10 hours a day, you're gonna take your screwdriver, take a screw and go, and the next chair is gonna come, and the next chair is gonna come. 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, and at the end of 1 year, I'm gonna give you $10,000. Okay, great. Okay, but over here, I said, hey, I'm gonna put you in a room, same temperature, same exact room, same chairs, but at the end of this year, I'm giving you $1 billion. $1 billion, all right? Now, what's gonna happen? Person over here, after about 2 days, they're gonna be like, what am I doing here? Screw this. I just thought of that, that's kind of funny, all right? Right? I am not doing this anymore. I'm out. $10,000? No thanks. I'm depressed. I'm lonely. It's monotonous. It's tedious. I'm out. I'm quitting tomorrow. This person? They be jamming. They don't care. Screws, chairs, $1 billion. What can I do? Same circumstances, same scenario. The only difference is they have 2 different futures that they believe in. 2 different rewards that they're awaiting. And the thing is, in our life, if you really believe, see, the Apostle Paul in Ephesians chapter 2, he says, at one time when you were without Christ in your life, you lived without hope in the world. Think about that for a second. If you are here and you're exploring Christianity, you don't know Jesus yet, we're glad you're here, we're glad you're exploring Christianity. Here's the thing, you don't know what you don't know. And the Apostle Paul says, there's a thing that you live with once you know Jesus that you didn't even realize you didn't have before you knew him, and it's hope. And when you have it, it changes everything about your life. But when you don't have it, you don't even know you don't have it. Like if you're here and this is all there is, and you're an atheist or an agnostic, and you die, and the universe is cold, and evil is just what it is and whatever, and there's no purpose or meaning or value to your life, you don't understand what it's like once you meet Jesus and you realize all of that isn't true. Because Christmas comes along, Christianity comes along, and it reminds you and shows you something you didn't even know, which was, listen, there is far more to life than watching Netflix for 3 hours a night when you get home from a mediocre job, try to survive your mediocre marriage and raise your mediocre kids. You think that's what this life is? You think by the time you get to your deathbed and that's what you accomplished, that was living. And Christmas comes along and goes, no, you don't even know what a life is until you've met Jesus, until you've had your sins forgiven and the power of the Spirit and the expectation that when you die, you are going to join him in glory. You have no idea what that does to your life. And Paul says, but before you knew Christ, you didn't have any hope in the world at all. Now, here's what's important about hope, by the way. We use the word hope differently in the English language than what they used it in biblical language. In Hebrew and Greek, the word hope is vastly different than how you and I use. We use hope, we're like, I really hope it doesn't rain tomorrow, right? Cross my fingers, I really hope that she likes me, right? I really hope. Like I was like yesterday when those boys were putting Christmas lights up on my roof, I was like, I really hope they don't fall off the roof at some point. And I would just like stare out the window and wait to see a body. You know, whatever. I was like, I really hope they stay up there. But the Bible doesn't use the word hope like that. The Bible says, no. This is a confident assurance in God that he is who he said he is, and he's going to do what he's going to do and what he said he was going to do. That the new heaven and the new earth is for those who put their life in Jesus. And once there's a confidence in it that is vastly different than how you and I live. Okay, so here's the picture of it. So this is how it works out for me recently. So we moved down here, as Ray was talking about, 3.5 years ago, okay? Since I moved down here, I've been trying to get my truck registered at the DMV, okay? Right, now listen. I have been down here trying to register my truck at the DMV for 3.5 years. So that means, like, look, I don't know if you guys work at the DMV. Great people. It's not the most efficient place in America, right? I'm just gonna say, not being critical, just saying. And I've been there so often, it's like Cheers. I just walk in, they're like, Mark, hey. I'm just like, hey, Sally. I live at the DMV. And I've spent all this money. Hey, I gotta get my truck. Oh, you gotta sign this. You gotta give us a check for this. You gotta do this. You gotta do this. Oh, and then I go back again. Oh, it got lost at headquarters. Oh, sorry, the paperwork got lost here. I'm like, don't you have a computer? They're like, okay. So then 3.5 years I've been trying to register my truck so I can sell it. But I need California plates. Can't do it. This, that, the other. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's this. 3.5 years I've been doing this. On the phone, they'll give me a phone number. Call this number. I'll call the number to be like, do you want a necklace if you fall down? I'm like, what are you talking about? How did you give me a number for a heart attack machine? I'm not even making that up. That's an actual story. The number they gave me to solve my DMV problem was trying to sell me a machine if I have a heart attack and die. What is going on? Anyways, I've mentioned this problem a couple times in sermons because sometimes you guys help with stuff, right? You gotta leverage your platform a little bit, right? Remember a couple years ago when I shared with you that I never got a Teddy Ruxpin little doll? And then I got 40 of them from y'all, all right? So I told you last year, when I was a little kid, I wanted a Cybertruck as well, a black on black Cybertruck. Oh, I was a little kid, it's all I wanted, so. Anyways, so I mentioned this a couple times that I need this DMV, blah, blah, blah. So some of you have very kindly reached out to me. I can solve your DMV problem. I can solve it. And basically at this point, guys, I'm like, no, you can't. All right, you are all gonna fail miserably because many people have tried and it never works. It never works. Oh, no, I got it. Oh, sorry. Sorry. So a few weeks ago, lady emails me, hey, I can solve your DMV problem. Here I am facing another failure. So I said, don't worry about it. She's like, no, meet me there, front door. I'm like, oh, okay. So I meet her at the front door of the DMV. Hi, nice to meet you. Hi, we're gonna solve this problem today. I said, no, we're not, but it'll be nice to spend time together. And this lady looked at me, she said, no, you're not gonna walk out of here with papers. You're gonna walk out of here with 2 license plates in your hand. Yeah, I thank you, lady, but not gonna happen. But anyway, good to meet you. But then the way she opened this door, she walked past everybody in line, and I'm just like, she just walks right up to the window and she's like, hey, this is Mark Clark. I need him to get plates today. The lady goes, he owes a little bit of money and he'll not give you $1 more. Okay. 40 minutes later, I walked out of that room with 2 license plates in my hand. Come on. Come on. I'm gonna bring that lady to the immigration office. I just thought of that too. That's kind of funny. All right, so the point being, there was a confidence in that woman because she knew the outcome. She already knew what she was gonna do. She had power that I didn't understand. I couldn't see it, but she knew the power that she had. She already knew. That's what gave her the confidence to bust in there, walk in front of everybody and say, I'm not giving you another dime, and I'm walking out with plates today. That's the kind of confidence. That's the kind of assurance the word hope means when the Bible uses it. It ain't hope like you and me. I hope that God does something. I hope. It's no, he's going to do it. And he has the confidence to promise you he's gonna do it because he knows his power, whether you see it or not. So, how do we actually live in light of that hope? Well, there's 2 things that are killers to our hope. The first one is, and then I'm gonna pray for you, 2 hope killers. The first one is not trusting that God has a future for you because you've messed up too much. That kills your hope. You're like, yeah, but Mark, I've messed up so many times. I've sinned so many times. God could never use somebody like me. I got to speak to a bunch of high school students this week. I went to one of the high schools and there's 100 kids in front of me and I had this talk prepared and I got up in front of them and I just threw the talk away and I basically just looked at them because God said, listen, they don't need to hear your little talk. What they need to hear is that the situation they're in right now as 17-year-old kids in high school, dealing with all the stresses and anxiety of that, thinking that they've sinned too much that God can never use them, you gotta share your story with them so that they can have hope through seeing what God has done in your life. And so I explained my own story and who I was when I was their age and all the things I had gone through and what God was doing in my life now. And so they gotta get a perspective that transcends their moment to understand that no matter what they've done, God can use them. The other hope killer is doubt. And some of you just have doubt. You doubt that God can do a thing. You doubt that God can come through. Listen, I have doubt. I have doubt about this immigration stuff. I have doubt about it. I'm the doubt guy. I'm the skeptic guy. I grew up in a home, all skepticism. I go, man, this is not gonna work. It's not gonna work. We're out. We start talking about, are we going to New Zealand? Are we going to New Zealand? I started packing my house up. I doubt all the time, but I got a wife who doesn't doubt. She's like, don't you know God has us? Don't you know God's got us to this point? God's got, what are you a doubter for? And I say, but I have really good company. See, Moses was a doubter. I don't think God can part Red Seas. Joseph was a doubter. Jacob was a doubter. Thomas, literal, his name is Thomas, the doubter, doubting Thomas. Peter was a doubter, doubted. I don't know that you're gonna do this thing. And over, God shows up and does his thing. And he shows me the end. So I want you to stand. And I wanna give you a picture for your life and why hope matters. Here's the thing. Some of us are sitting here, we're like, I doubt God can ever use me. My life's a disaster. This last year has been a mess. The mistakes I've made, the sins I've done that the people beside me don't even know about. It's a wreck. I'm a disaster. I can't believe it. One of my favorite parables of Jesus gives you hope. And then I'll pray for you. Here's what Jesus says. Remember that he told this parable, a man had a fig tree growing in his vineyard, Luke 13. And he went to look for fruit on it, Picture your own life, but he did not find any. God came around, he looked for fruit in my life. He couldn't find any. You start to give up on yourself. You start to doubt. So he said to the man who took care of the vineyard, hey, for 3 years now, I've been coming to look for fruit on this fig tree and haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should it use up the soil? That's what you think God thinks about you. You're a disaster. Your year's gone bad. He's going to cut me down. Here's what Jesus says. Sir, the man replied, leave it alone for 1 more year. And I'll dig around it and I'll fertilize it. And if it bears fruit next year, fine. If not, then you can cut it down. Here's what Jesus says. Some of you have given up on yourself and you think God has given up on you and is ready to cut you down. And Jesus goes, no. Hey, I'll work with you. I'll dig around it a little bit. I'm ready for the next year to be great, even if this year wasn't. Isn't that a beautiful picture? Jesus is trying to reverse your whole image of God and what he thinks of you. So, Father in heaven, I do pray that that image goes deep inside of our souls and that we would be people who so hold on that we're then people who have a divine kind of peace that the world looks at and doesn't understand, and a kind of hope that moves the world. Let us live in light of those things. In Jesus' great name we pray. Amen. 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 Guys, thank you so much for being here. God bless you all. We'll see you next week, guys. Thank you so much. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching our Bayside online service. We're so glad that you're actually part of our church, which you are, even though you're watching from all over the world, and we have people literally watching from all over the world. You are part of our family, and we want to get to know you. So please make sure you get in touch with us. Let us know your story. We'd love to hear you and serve you in any way we can. Also, part of what drives the way we connect as a church globally is giving. And so if you're part of our family, we would love you to start giving to our church. Those resources, we steward them to reach people all over the world. And we hear amazing stories about what Jesus is doing with your resources. So if you already give, thank you. If not, you can start giving. We would love that. And then finally, we have all kinds of stuff we do. We have a podcast network. We have like 10 podcasts that address a whole bunch of different things in your life. So if you're a podcaster, join us in the Thrive Podcast Network. We'd love to serve you. We've got a ton of stuff there. We just want to make sure that you feel part of our family. So we love you. Thank you so much for being part of this family, and we will see you next week.